Hello, everyone, and happy Friday to you all. I am Marnese Jackson, and I am the Midwest Building Decarbonization Coalition Executive Director. And we are continuing our series of meeting the board directors of Midwest BDC. And so we're ending the month with Paula E.W. Carey-Moore. She's with us today. And the purpose of this podcast is to lift up Midwest BDC board members, highlighting their different backgrounds and work that they're doing. And we want you to all understand where they're coming from this work and sharing their story. And so, of course, we're going to tell you how to get involved with Midwest BDC. And then, of course, hopefully encourage members to get involved with the work of building decarbonization, environmental and climate justice, energy justice, and just a little bit about Midwest BDC. We were started back in 2019 to eliminate fossil fuels in buildings before 2050. Yes, this is very ambitious, and this is because we spend majority of our time indoors, and that these harmful emissions coming from gas appliances and our gas infrastructure, yes, that gas that you put in your car, it's plaguing our society and causing climate issues, but then also indoor air quality cause pollutants. So we were starting back in 2019 to tackle this issue in these cold climates, in our focus states of Indiana, Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, and Ohio. And so we are here to make sure that we emphasize the HIMS principle for democratic organizing and the climate justice principles. And we are also centering the work of people who have been impacted the most by high energy burden and environmental racism. So when you think about your utility bill, if it's high, we're trying to eliminate that, right? If you see that nasty stuff in the air, it's coming from somewhere, and we're trying to eliminate that as well. So just a little bit about that. So joining us today is Paula Carey-Moore, and Paula currently serves as a regional vice president of housing at the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis, Missouri. Ooh. Paula has been involved with groups across the St. Louis metro area, including serving as the chair of the St. Louis Metro Housing Task Force, membership chair and executive board member of the St. Louis County Continuum of Care, board member of the St. Louis Regional Financial Empowerment Coalition, and steering committee member of the St. Louis Equal Housing and Community Reinvestment Alliance. Woo! Sounds like you got like a background in finance. And so Paula, welcome. And she also sit on our board of directors. So Paula, do you like to tell us about yourself?
My goodness, it sounds like you introduced well. And one thing is a consistent thread that anything that impacts our stability in housing, that is something that I try to stay involved in. And a lot of the finances are tied up that we're paying more than what we should. So having that exposure, being at the table makes the difference. So when one of the other things here at the Urban League, we have the Financial Empowerment Center on our first floor of headquarters, so we can help individuals with their finances in all aspects of their housing life.
Okay. So that sounds like you may be a great candidate for a couple positions coming up from somewhere that, we both have in common. I'm not going to tell anybody where that is, but it sounds like you may be in a good position to take that on. How did you get involved with Midwest Building Decarbonization Coalition?
Well, my sister is an environmental scientist, and
Okay.
she was bragging about this coalition. And I'm like, if it is not impacting housing, I don't have time. So
Right.
believe it or not, she said, just reach out to Marnese. So when I had the conversation with you, when you were talking about how weatherization, you use that as an example. And I said, well, we have a weatherization division here where we're helping individuals lower their utility costs.
Mhm.
And I said, this is something I need to be a part of. this is something I need to be a part of. So you brought me to the table,
Mhm.
and realizing it was for the Midwest region, I said, I I have to be involved in this.
Yeah, it's, starting something from scratch. And for those who don't know, we were under the physical sponsor of Fresh Energy in Minnesota. And this is a project of the Energy Foundation of how we're funded, how, staff get paid. we, I didn't think it was going to take off this quickly, especially back when, the pandemic was like full,
Right.
force. And bringing people to the table, that's like one of the hardest tasks you could do, organizing virtually, right? And
Right.
so for you being in Missouri, and that's a hard place to organize in, especially around environmental and climate justice. But I do know a lot of people in the Missouri area that's focused on climate and environmental justice. But before we get into that, I have to ask this. What is the difference between the county and the city? I have heard that there's a thingy thing with that. And I have to know between St. Louis County and St. Louis City. I'm like, what?
So St. Louis City, we have a mayor.
Okay.
St. Louis County, we have an executive, say
Hmm.
an executive director.
Okay.
And from my understanding, when they split, it and it was decades ago.
Hmm.
The thing about the county, we have about 90 municipalities.
Hmm.
So you can imagine, with just trying to get consistency throughout in servicing the clients, servicing, the codes for what's going on in housing, what's allowed, what's not allowed. So so if you say St. Louis County, it's huge compared to the city. But
Hmm.
then you also go into St. Charles County, Jefferson County. So for me to be a regional vice president, I have to be
Hmm.
in the know of what's going on. And one of the other steering committees I serve on is with Safe Simpler, where we're trying to coordinate um, the building codes
Hmm.
throughout the St. Louis County footprint.
Hmm.
So when you have all these different stressors, I'll call them, coming at you, it's different because what may be allowed here, because this mayor of this municipality agreed to it, they could be here where another mayor is and they don't agree to it.
Hmm.
So, what we've been doing successfully at the Urban League is having some of the mayors work together, because
Okay.
we just had a senior building development in Delwood that, if you're familiar with what happened in Ferguson
Hmm.
with the Mike Brown situation, we actually built on the quick, not the quick trip. We built on a quick trip, but the AutoZone that was burnt down, a senior living facility.
Okay.
So someone has to say, let's work together. But it's not easy because sometimes you become comfortable, in your spaces. And that's why sometimes when you're trying to tell someone there's a better way to live and to breathe so it'll be lasting, they're like, well, we're comfortable in our spaces.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the biggest argument I come up with, people who are comfortable with their gas appliances. Yes, it does make better banana pudding. It's just different. They're cooking it on the electric stove, but that's my thing. Anyway, but it's like a culture shift. Like people love their gas stove. But I wanted to ask you, why did you want to be a board member for a new startup organization without a lot of foundation, a lot of different things that we had to put together from scratch. Why did you want to be a board of director with this heavy lift of starting a nonprofit?
Probably because I've already served on some boards that were starting off or in transition. And honestly, because I believed in the direction that you were leading the coalition, and I didn't realize at that time as we were building, we had to vote you in as an executive director because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't having that conversation with you. So I wanted to be there to support it. And I believe sometimes when it's hard enough in the
Mhm.
same state you're in to bring people together, but when you are multi-state bringing someone together, you have to be a voice at the table of reason. So,
It's like honestly the hardest. I mean, I was an organizer in these states when I was at the NAACP. So, building relationship actually wasn't like the hardest thing about it. It's more so how do people um, organize within the space that they're in, and kind of doing
yeah,
it from a regional perspective. And I think, you know, the part that we're at is like, how do we scale this up? But then also, um, how do we make it better for our local communities? That's what
right,
democratic organizing is. But leveraging our a state footprint to do this work, right? And hold like the entities that are really hurting our environment accountable. So that's like what my hope is. And so people don't know that when you on a board of director, you're contributing, right? It's not
right,
really supposed. I said I have two poor board of director positions, and it's like you have to contribute. Okay, it's not just sitting there just because you have to bring something to the table. And I know one of the eds that I don't. I guess because it's different, there we don't look at the EDs as like, okay, it's a hierarchy. It's like we're trying to support them in the work that they're doing, and what can we bring to the table with our particular skill set to put them in rooms, or whatever they need to help them. So, what do you think people may not know about how boards contribute to an organization?
that you don't sit on a board to get a title or just to put it on your resume. That you sit on a board so you can contribute to that organization to make it better, help with partnerships that collectively may not have thought of who else can be at the table. And to me, that's the purpose. And yes, you were looking at the financial to see to make sure it stays sovereign,
Mm-hmm.
but not to nitpick, shall I say, but to bring together your resources, your partnerships collectively so the organization that you're supporting stands. And even those skill sets that are sometimes lacking
Mm-hmm.
in other board members, not to call them out, but to collectively say, let me understand how you're doing this, but this is how we communicate. And one of the boards that I was on, that I'm still serving on, we had a board source come in and train us, which to me helped because the training I had was in graduate school. And
Okay.
that's how I ended up on my first board. I was just inquiring, and they ended up recruiting me, and I helped them redo their bylaws to bring them up to date. So those skill sets, and for people to understand that you are part of the mission, you're not above the mission.
Yeah.
You're a part of the mission, and you want to ensure that the mission does not drift.
Yeah, I do think that's because I've been a part of boards where we have really dove into the mission. Like, are we still here? Do we need to switch up or add some language to the mission and the vision? And I noticed that this would be a good workshop for us because we don't have a vision just yet. We
Oh,
have values, we have our mission statement, but I'm like, we really don't have a vision like of where we're going to go. So I do think that's a good workshop for us to take on, and of course training, because I do think when you bring on board members that we and a executive director, I think everyone should go through a training,
yeah.
especially or icebreaker or something, all to get on the same page of how do you work together. um so things won't fall through the cracks. That's just my opinion, because I'm all about, like, that's how things can get lost in the sauce if we don't have training. And there's nothing wrong with
And,
learning
and
how
and
to
training, I think, and one of the things they, not a bad thing, but they talk about me at the Urban League. They say your staff is so trained. And my thing is, I can't stop for you to catch up if you don't see the value in being exposed to what you're doing and knowing the training that's there. And we even offer our training to other individuals that, in the agency. So, and one of the things I do believe that I benefited from the coalition is the Google training to
okay.
get certificates. So I was that within itself was great. So I have staff members that have become certified just from my being part of the coalition and someone else sharing the value. And that's it. We share the value so we all can become valuable. And I do believe when we keep our eyes on the prize, we get there together whole and not disjointed.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, what is our why? What's our end goal? And just level setting on that. So I'm glad you said that that was your favorite part, which got me thinking about some future trainings that we should definitely bring to the coalition. Those definitely those technical trainings. So, um, in your opinion, what is the best way for people who are new and want board experience to, how would they get involved with boards of organizations that they care about?
So, one, I think they need to probably volunteer
Mm,
and attend some of the things that that organization is doing to have a set or understanding. Are they really holding themselves to the mission that
mhm,
they say they're doing? And what do you think you bring to the table? But, and even ask the executive director, what type of board training do you have? One of the things I can say here at the Urban League, we have our trainings, and because we have over 60 programs, we actually have retreats
mhm,
where we prepare what we're doing to the board to
mhm,
show them this is what our division is doing.
mhm,
We may do little skits and workshops so it'll stick in their mind.
mhm,
This is what we're doing. And I can say from doing that, we have been able to even generate additional revenue
mhm,
because that board member may not have really understood the brevity
mhm,
of what we're doing. And because of the retreats, because of the training, it has made a valuable impact. And then you also have the staff getting to know who the board members are, where they serve, their personalities, and it makes a difference. It makes a big difference.
Okay, I understand. I think sometimes, especially with staff, they're so out of reach. I remember I was at this big organization, and it was like when I finally seen a board member, um, it was kind of like they were a celebrity. Um, because it's like, oh my gosh, you're on the board, but they weren't very personable. it was like we were down here, even though we paid our dues, right? It's not like Midwest BDC membership, it's free. But I do also feel that the structure of electing board members should definitely be within the membership, because we're membership driven organization, and it holds people accountable to the mission that we're doing. That's just my opinion, because I think when you get on board, sometimes they just hire, or they'll recruit their friends, and it becomes. I have seen.
And then you can have a mission drift. And
Yeah.
what I can say,
Hmm.
we have, believe it or not,
Hmm.
75 board members.
Oh my God.
So you imagine our CEO president has 75 bosses.
Hmm.
However, the good shift that we've had is we're bringing the board. You cannot just join the board without making a contribution
Revolution.
or having your information.
You know what? And this is something that Eddie, our new grants and development director, he is so excited to put this recommendation in front of you all, because he was telling us that foundations actually appreciate that their board members are invested in the organization.
Right.
I actually offer something to another organization. It's not much, but it's on a scale. But I'm happy that I'm able to contribute whatever I can contribute. So I think that's probably a good path forward for us, because of the investment. Um, and 75 bosses. Could you imagine, Marnese? I like we gonna have to get some structure of how many people I have to talk to, because isn't that a bit overwhelming?
It seems like it's overwhelming, but let's relate this. The mission of the Urban League
Mm,
is to help African Americans and others to self-sufficiency, and through that empowerment phase.
mhm,
So if we are over 200 years behind,
mhm,
you have to think, what is it going to take for equity to help stabilize this playing field?
mhm,
So, not sitting bosses doing absolutely nothing. We're talking about individuals that are in the pillars of the community,
mhm,
from the media, serving at some of the major corporations that are allowing us to have a footprint. And at the moment, we're the number one urban league in the nation.
yeah,
And that says a lot for what we're doing with everything from our Head Start education, our Save Our Sons, Save Our Sisters, our workforce, the housing. So we have food pantries
mhm,
and our outreach centers from the youth to the seniors. That takes a lot. So, and we have committees like you break down. Mine is the housing committee. And the goal is to keep the pulse of the community and what's going on, so we're not sideswiped to say, oh, wait a minute, this has changed. How come no one said anything? No, you need to be alert and aware to what's going on, because when the director came for our Delmar Divine and we had they asked me to be on the panel, and the energy director was here with Amrin and another nonprofit. And it was good because first I said, well, I'm still learning, but I had an opportunity to talk about the work that we're doing. And it made a difference. It made a big difference. From me just saying, let me find out, Marnese, what you're talking about. I know about weatherization. I know some, and it's forever learning because we're not aware of the impact to our health, our mental health, our physical health, of the damages that have been caused by carbonization. We're not aware because that was not a subject, it was a survival method, and this is all we had.
Wow. So I'm still stuck on the 75, but I'm gonna move past that. I'm gonna stick with the 11 or 12 we got, and I'm like, what? I'm like, how do you remember all them people names? Okay, anyway.
You have place cards.
Okay,
And I said, "Oh, now you are okay." And as you see, and then it forces you, just as an employee, to be conscious of
mhm,
who is a board member,
yeah,
what, and to read their bio. So that would be the other thing. If someone is looking on a board, figure out who's already at the table,
mhm,
who can you compliment,
mhm,
because you don't need duplicates, you need people to complement what is out there and what can you bring to the table. Because if you're just at the table to say I'm on here and there's no contribution in words or thoughts, or finances, or even your notoriety, then why are you there?
yeah. I totally agree with that. That's just with anything in life. Like, what are you
That's
doing?
right.
That's like, if I don't feel like I'm added value to something, I would definitely okay. I'm a bow out. It's not my. I'm not. But I know me. I'm not gonna sign up for. I know I'm not gonna be an added value. So that's just not how I am. So I wanted to ask you, um, what do you enjoy doing in your spare time? What are your passions? What do you like doing, Paula?
Well, right now, believe it or not, I like the quiet reading, the
Okay.
different, and so there's a variety of things that I read, and I don't, and even I have books throughout my office that I'll start and stop, and from magazines and newspapers to what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
because I try to tie everything in so I don't miss
Mm-hmm.
when the conversations come about. Right now, what I like, because we have so many galas. People think I just like going to galas to eat. No, I go there to network. ABC, always be closing. That's what my CEO taught me. You're going there so you can be seen.
Mm-hmm.
They know you're in the know, and then you're networking and you're talking to people, because what I believe is everything you need is in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to stay within the room, and where people say, "Oh, I go skiing." I do not know how to ski. I probably would like that. I go mountain climbing.
Oh,
I enjoy networking.
okay.
In that solitude is where I collect my thoughts. I try to read up on something where I'm going to present myself.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, it was skating. Because
Oh,
even in that skating, it was, even though I never looked at it as going around and around, I looked at it as just being free in my space.
oh.
So, but with that, the connecting with people, because especially what COVID brought us was a lot of isolation.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have the opportunity to network at various levels. So I can hear, and I'm not running for anything, the constituents. Although I said sometimes people know my name before they know me, and it was
Mm-hmm.
like, Paula invited me, and I'm like, I'm Paula E.W. Carey Dashmore. And so it's being present in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it's something new and someone's inviting me to do something, I have to take to say, okay, is this something I want to do? And I'm not saying no so much because I've not done it. maybe that wasn't something I grew up doing.
Mhm.
I like the exposure in a way in those safe spaces because I always have the opportunity to read up to
Mhm.
say, what am I getting myself into? And I'm enjoying life. So that's it. And when I'm present, believe it or not, I've been able to help so many people in their housing stability while I'm out networking because they say, oh, I have a sister. This is going on with me. Can you help me? I have a piece of property I need to sell. And so I like doing that. And
Mhm.
people miss out not just enjoying their spaces and where they are.
Okay.
So that's me.
Well, Paula. You know what? I had a thought about it. I'm gonna take my business card. I'm going to a cotillion tomorrow, and I'm going to take them. I'm going to take them. And yes, I'm going
You
to.
know why?
Mhm.
Because you do not have to bring an audience.
Mhm.
The audience is there
Yep.
for you. Now, we just had our May Day parade Saturday before last,
Mhm.
and I'm in a sorority, Iota Phi Lambda business sorority,
Okay.
and we're the Alpha Zeta chapter. So we're green and white. So
My
we
favorite color.
use we use the Urban League van, so housing partnered with them. And so I would go in and out of the van because it was hot outside. But
Mhm.
when we had to go in front of the judges, we're like, we're the Alpha Zeta chapter. And we're doing this. And then, we were waving and doing our signs. Why yesterday, that news person that was out there
Mhm.
day before yesterday, they came to one of our meetings we had that was here with the city. So when I was greeting people coming up the steps, and I said, "Hi, I saw you at the May Day. I'm Paula E.W. Carey-Moore. You didn't know my name, but I was in the green and white. I'm with Iota Phi Lambdas." He said, "Yes." Now and this parade was a couple of hours long. So networking, even in a parade,
Mhm.
that I would get out the bus, people I see and I wave, and they're like, "Hi, auntie." I'm not the real auntie, but that's what they call me.
Paula, you do come off like an auntie though. Like, hey, Auntie Paula. You do.
Right, as I'm fighting for my nieces and nephews, I'm her favorite. I'm her favorite. I'm her. And what I can say is, I'm my pastime is enjoying life
Okay.
because it's short. My dash, it's short. So I'm going to enjoy it. I love encouraging individuals to enlighten them, to make them feel good. I woke up this morning, it's my sister's birthday, and I said, have a wonderful day today.
Mhm.
Enjoy your day because this is your day. And if you like being encouraged, then when you do it to others,
Mhm.
and you stay ready, so you have your business cards so you can stay ready, because the very thing we may need,
Mhm.
the coalition, you're gonna meet.
Okay. Well, definitely doing that. And I also have my business card on my phone. I'm getting really tacky out
Yes,
here.
I have a bling.
You know, me too. Yes. Okay. Well, Paula, it is a happy Friday, and I definitely got to get to St. Louis. I had a good time in St. Louis last time I came, so
Okay,
I got to get back there. So invite me to something so I
I
can.
will. I will. We actually have a urban
Mhm.
expo July 19th and
Oh,
20th.
So my sorority, I gotta make sure my sorority um is not doing. No, actually, I think I can come to that.
And when I say, if you've ever seen a Black Expo and a
Okay.
back to school fair, well, I can tell you last year we brought Fred Hammonds here,
Okay.
and the Urban Expo is free.
Okay.
So on that Friday, we have an all out workforce. a hiring fair where we bring the clothes for the men and the women where they're ready if they need resumes and different things like that. We partner with the school district. We have about 10,000 backpacks we give away. We feed the people lunch
Mm-hmm.
because we make sure that the school system has the lunches for the families. The housing division,
Mm-hmm.
we have a house.
Well, I'm
We,
definitely gonna. You guys send me the info, and I'm
I'm gonna
definitely
send
going
you
to.
the info.
Okay. So we're gonna have to hop off now. These podcasts get good once you get into them, but we have to kind of exit on.
Yes.
So I enjoyed getting to know you a little bit more, Paula. And I noticed about the board of directors, you all like doing something that's within nature. You said hiking. So I'm like, okay, so you guys really about this environmental stuff. You out there in nature. So I wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in, and shout out to Andre and Linda for coming in, Auntie Paula. Um, I'm gonna slip up and say that one day. I mean, they were like, no, get corrected. No, she's your boss. I'll be like, y'all some killjoys, okay? Oh my
But
god.
and it was funny because I was out there, they was playing this music, and
Okay.
then I looked to my left because everybody's videotaping, and I'm like, no, okay, let me go back on the bus. I'm not gonna be over somebody's TikTok. That was, hey
You
auntie,
know
hey
what? And so I do believe Maggie's gonna be starting a TikTok. So it might be it's fun. Oh my gosh. I try not to be so much on TikTok because it take up so much.
it'll take up your time.
It does.
It'll take up your time. So I'm like, yes, it'll have that. But I think people should look into the opportunity to be a part of it because one of the other things, a lot of this information is not taught in our schools.
Yes.
And so we're not as well informed as we should be.
Mhm.
And if it was taught in our schools, then we would have different outcome and expectations.
I totally agree.
So we are the books that people are going to read.
Well, thank you so much, Paula, for tuning in to our Midwest BDC Meet Our Board of Directors. We do have some more of these coming up. We have a 12-person board, and we're just like in the middle. So we're going to keep this moving. So I, of course, love to invite everyone out to the Midwest BDC events. You can follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, what else we on? LinkedIn, Instagram, and learn more about our work at midwestdecarb.org. We do have a lot of events coming up. And we want to make sure that you continue to follow us for our June events. So we have a couple of trainings that you get involved in, especially around policy, and then also around how to do this work in your local community.
Right.
Okay, because coalition building, it's not just for staff to get out there and spread the word. Everybody is a part of this movement if you choose to be a member, and it's free. Okay. And like our stuff is free, and usually if we're trying to go to like an event or a conference, we're usually getting it paid for it. So like, hey, come hang out with us, we're cool kids. So everyone, thank you so much for tuning in, getting to know Paula, and we will see you all next month. Oh my goodness, we're halfway through the year. But we'll see you all in June. Have a lovely May last day, and happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
It rhymed. I think I could be a rapper. Yeah, that rhymed.